me again.
Sounds good.
Okay, everyone. Well, listen, I want to thank you all for joining us today. We're pretty excited about what Jeff has brought to the company. Jeff has had a relationship with Inspection Resolution General Contractors. He'll talk about his relationship and that with them. We sat down, met with them, and we kind of went over their product. I've actually used them a couple times, not actually for the work, but as far as going through the process of getting bids and stuff, which is really slick. So we think there's a lot of value here, especially for agents. Jeff's going to talk to you more about how they work, his experience with them, and then we'll kind of do a little Q&A. But really, we want to get people just some basic knowledge about this program, and that way you can use it as again another tool to help you kind of navigate inspections. And it can be used for a lot more inspections, but inspections, whether you're on the buyer seller side, prepping your home for listing, a lot of different things you can do. So. We are recording this. We'll get this sent out to everyone when it's done too, and we'll add it for the people who didn't watch. And then if you need to review it as folks who actually logged in, you're going to have that access to that too. But I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Kurzman here to get us started.
Cool. Thanks, Ryan, and thanks everybody for joining. Yeah, so some of you in the office when we had our Christmas gathering, we kind of gave you a quick and dirty, excuse me, overview. Very simple tease about what this is all about. So I'm going to go over the slideshow. It's not a long presentation by any means, and then the two different offerings that actually there's three different offerings that IRGC brings to the table, and then I'm going to show you a couple estimates that actually one that I'm actually have just signed off on Monday. For a pre-listing, and then another one for an inspection objection. That's not mine. I just asked them to give me a sample one. And then we'll kind of close with, Ryan kind of going over the relationship that going forward, the partnership, how that's going to work as far as what that means to us as to an agent, to brokerage. So, and I don't particularly like to read word for word on slideshows. So when I'm going through it, if I don't read, verbatim, you can read it yourself. I just don't, you guys can read on your own, so I don't need to read it to you, I guess is my point. So I've been involved with IRGC, or have used them for various things for probably going on, I think it's my third year with them. So, so CJ is the owner estimator. Within the office, there is Lori, who's the business manager, who will do a lot of the work on the quotes, and she does a lot of the scheduling for CJ on all the jobs and the projects. But he's been in the business 30 plus years. He used to work for Zillow. He's done flips. He's done all sorts of construction things. So it's really cool what they offer us. And when I talk about the pre-listing deal that I just recently got in, I think what I'm understanding is a couple of other brokerages that they've partnered with, they see, some repeat business from kind of the same agents. And I think I understand that now, especially with what I went through with this pre-listing. It's like everything we do in our business, we have to really be prepared to, talk to our clients, educate them, and really share with them some of these things that are, in the end, something that's really going to help them net a higher profit, especially on a pre-listing or something that needs work. And I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through it. So this first slide is kind of, I just noticed this is like, it just talks about the inspection resolution, but they offer, there's three things we're going to talk about. So, as we know, as us being agents, there's so many things going into the inspection resolution and objection. And, in these newer days, in the last couple of years, there's no more waived inspections. Buyers don't have to buy shitty homes. Sorry for my French, but they don't have to buy our crap anymore. And so they're going to ask for things, and there's more room for negotiation and fixing things. So, all these things that you're seeing in these bullet points here, fighting with the seller and buyer about who pays for what, not really fighting, but, those negotiations. So with the inspection objections, it's very simple for us. I mean, and again, I've done this on another transaction I had. For my one that's coming up closing in January. So because I needed to know about some things for a furnace. I guess I could have shared that one with you guys. Furnace, air conditioning, and some electrical stuff. So I simply got the objection from the buyer's agent as well as the objection. And then I just sent that off to IRGC. So that's the step one there, simply forwarding the home inspection and objection resolution report to, not resolution, but the objection reports to IRGC. And then within 36 hours, I think they had it back to me. I sent it like, let's see, Tuesday, and I had it back yesterday afternoon. And so they pretty much strive to get it to us within 36 hours many times before. And again, I had, you know, in the actual objection, there was those 3 items that they saw, and I didn't really waver. I mean, there was actually a deck question that had come up, but that was covered by the HOA. So I just had made a note that, you know, disregard the deck work. So again, there's a place for notes when we're going to look at this portal that we have to submit this stuff. And then step 3 is essentially, you know, if the owner signs off on it, we schedule, you know, 1, 2, or all of the quoted repairs. It just depends. I mean, you can go back if there's several things, and you know, there's only 1 or 2 that, you know, potentially the seller wants to cover, then you can ask for a redo of that estimate. Another thing that's happening is if they offer a credit, you know, there's communication with the buyer's agent, and so after, you know, closing, that information is given to that buyer, and potentially they can take that quote and get the work done on their own later on as well, if the credit doesn't cover it, or if they just didn't use it for the actual repairs. So again, fast quotes. I think one of the biggest things is that, you know, CJ has all of his own in-house contractors. And so you don't have to worry if there's 5 jobs that you have to find 3, 4, 5 vendors, right? You can have him and his crew do it all. There's warrantable work. He sends pictures upon completion. You know, he's of course licensed, all of that stuff. And then there's also a payment and closing option. So, you know, if there's, you know, if they don't have the cash to pay, they can certainly have it go through the escrow process and be paid out at closing. Okay, the next piece is the pre-listing renovation service. So, you know, I just was in this situation. I went to the house last Thursday, so about a week ago. It's not horrible. This guy bought it like 7 years ago. He rented it out to family friends. They kind of trashed some things. So there's like a broken door down in the basement. The carpet in the basement completely needs to be pulled up because of cat urine smell, horrible. You know, he's got a couple flooring issues. He's got a fence that needs repair in the backyard that blew off due to a windstorm. He has a garage opener in the garage that he's never hooked up electrical wise, some front yard landscaping, some painting, etc. So, you know, these are the things that, you know, when I spoke to him and went over the things, and then eventually we went over the comps, I told him that, you know, I'll get into that too, as far as how I really persuaded him, I think, to bite the bullet and actually, you know, go with this pre-listing work that IRGC is going to do. So again, the other thing that CJ does, so we went actually out there on Monday after I got the listing agreement. Him and I returned to the property on Monday. CJ will go out to the property on these listing appointments with you, and he will go through the house. And he's very like, okay, we're gonna go walk around, and he kind of wants to just take his pictures and not really have even, you know, the owner kind of follow him around, except when there's questions at the end and that kind of stuff. And so he has an eye for really knowing what are going to be the biggest return on investments, on the investment for the seller, because sellers, as we know, once they start looking at repairs and renovations, they sometimes don't know when to stop and which things are going to bring the return and which things just let the buyer take care of them, right? And so that's the thing that CJ has a really good eye for, you know, focusing on the kitchen or the bathroom or painting or carpet, all of those things. So again, at that first bullet point, he knows exactly what renovations will make a home sell, which really won't. He'll focus on the renovations that truly pay off. And we'd never encourage these homeowners to invest where they don't, and if it's, you know, won't have a positive impact on their listing price. And I saw that through this whole process, going back and forth a little bit with CJ. He's very, you know, upfront in what he believes, and in the end, you know, his words, like, we're doing this seller, and at the end, really a favor to get him the highest return on what he's going to get when he does list the house. And then again, if they don't have money to take advantage of the pre-listing service, then they usually, I think it's Dennis. Dennis, who's in the office. He'll kind of talk to the agent as well as the owner, just to talk about the pay closing options and how that works, because they will carry it. I think it's 60 days. And then if your house hasn't sold, then there's some fees that start getting added on. But prior to that, yes, is the price maybe a little bit inflated because they are carrying it? Sure. But it still is a great option because of the return that they're going to get on their investment. So these are just some before and after kind of situations. I think there's 2 or 3, but this was a 6300 East Castilla Place in Centennial. The purchase price $688. They put $170 for it. It listed and sold at $1,050,000, and that increased price was 53% with an ROI of 22%. When you get the presentation, you can go and look at these addresses online as well. And then we have a before and after for 804 Partridge Circle in Golden. So before the upgrade price target was 900, they invested about close to 300, so 285. Listed it for 1.5 and it sold for 1.710. So that increased price of 90%, ROI 35%. So, I think what they'd like from us and what I understand with other brokerages, they'd love us to be their vendor of choice for everything. So handyman work, repairs, the remodel, pre-listings, and then the objection resolution work. So even for you and any of your friends and family, again, when we're talking about what's our new thing called? Our new portal where we can send out to our clients where they can look at all of their vendors and stuff. I mean, this is something that, I will be putting in there, and you can also have in your portal for them to use. So I'm going to go out to what our portal looks like here. Let me know if you're still seeing my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, did everybody see that? So Ryan has actually put this out on One Stop as well. So when you go to the JPAR Modern RE section, you'll just move down and you'll see the Inspection Resolution General Contractors link. And when you click on that, it'll open up to this as well. But when you get the presentation, you'll see that there is a separate URL as well that you can use. It always is going to default to this particular link. And so, as it says, because we're in a partnership, and I believe there's only maybe 1 or 2 other brokerages right now that they have, and then of course they work with many other agents. They've been in the business a long time, individually. But our referrals are going to get priority scheduling and pricing, and then you're electronically kept in the loop while IRGC is completing the job. So when you move down, you have the 3 options to either click for a pre-listing request, an inspection resolution request, or just remodel, repair, handyman request. They can do anything simple. So if you need somebody to do, I'm just seeing the answer about inspector. So they don't do anything with inspection or an inspector, correct? You just provide the inspection report from whoever the agent gave that inspection report from, and then the inspection objection. So yeah, they don't do inspections themselves. Good question. Okay, so then we've got the inspection resolution request and the remodel. Okay, the remodels. So even like a simple plumbing job, like maybe a backed up sink, or some kind of light fixture that needs to be replaced, or a new dishwasher. I mean, anything simple. It doesn't have to be a pre-listing or an inspection resolution request. It could be anything that a homeowner might need, even if they're not selling or buying, or a client in that realm of your sphere. So you just pretty much click on it. I'll just go to the inspection resolution request, and it'll ask you for your name, and that would be your name, agent name, your phone number, the email, put in the address of the actual house. And then there's a place for you to select the files to upload the inspection objection as well as the inspection report. And once you select those files and put them in there, you can add notes. So that's where you can say, oh yeah, the objection has this, but blah, blah, blah. We're going down a different path for that, or you don't need to include that, or whatever. And then you just hit submit, and you're going to get an email saying that they've received your request, and then we submit what we want done. But yeah, I'll come back to the questions.
Just real quick to hit on that little area where you can add some details. Keep in mind that you're going to get a bid sight unseen, right? So I think this company, they're obviously going to, their contract says, or when you get the bid, it's going to say this isn't final. They have to look at the property, but they're trying to estimate. And then my guess would be they're going to estimate to make sure that they're protected, because they don't want sticker shock. If they try to estimate too low and then come and look at it, and all of a sudden, well, it's an extra $1,000 and it freaks people out, that's not a good way to go. So my guess is they're going to be a little bit high, overestimating just to make sure they're covering everything. So I think it's very important when you send these things in to be very detailed about what's needed. And so if you know there's certain things, and we talked about this earlier with Jeff, he's got a condo that's got a very, it's a small unit, doesn't need that big of a furnace. But when they bed it out, they might just big out a standard furnace for a standard single family residence home. And so just little details like that might help them to kind of really pinpoint that bid a little bit better.
Yeah, so the furnace from one vendor that I've used in my building, I've sold a couple condos in my building here, and this vendor did not IRGC, but another one did my furnace, and he quoted my seller a $4,500 furnace price, and it was 50 BTU. I think is that right? 50 or 110. And CJ and his team quoted a larger one, and he never went on site to see it. And his quote was like 5,900. So it was a lot more because of that. But I went back to CJ and I said, look, here's what this vendor blah blah was. And he actually beat it at $4,400. So, just to what Brian said, yeah, definitely a good point. So I think, other than that, as far as, the offerings, that's pretty much it. Let me go back to the PowerPoint here. Okay, so and then yeah, you'll see on the slide there's the information for the office and the email to send it to. But again, when you're submitting online via the portal, it's going to automatically go right to the office for them to work up that bid. So let me go and share. Just wanted to share. Are you seeing this screen?
Yep.
Okay, so this is an actual estimate. This is the one that I got signed for the house coming up on Clayton. So it's not going to go on the market probably till late January. But the things we had to talk about were, again, he's putting in your estimate figured for an empty and vacant property. So the garage doesn't have the power out it, so he's gonna, work that. He's gonna put some lighting in there, another outlet. He's gonna install the new cedar fence that blew over. In the backyard, he took down a ton of weeds, the seller or the owner did. But because it's just now down to the dirt, he's going to leave that alone, put in a breeze path, but we're going to do the front yard and put in some fabric. The edging is needed, mulch and rock. The front short fence, a solid stain, paint the fence, power wash exterior of the house and garage. That's all exterior. In the interior, we've got, minor driveway repairs throughout, touch up on the interior trim. We're going to, sand and finish the hardwood floors. Carpet pad replacement, and then in the kitchen, there's a couple cabinets that need some work. Clean and epoxy paint the existing, tub gloss white, full construction window clean. That means once they're done, they're going to do a full construction cleanup and a clean of the house. So, it's going to be pretty much ready for staging. And then if personal items are needed to be removed, because he's a single guy, he's got a cat, he's in Washington State now for 2 weeks, coming back, and he's going to have to get everything out. And so we told him, well, you can mark what you're going to keep, and everything else, if you want us to dump it, we'll throw it in a dumpster. We'll get the dumpsters on site, and CJ will do that too. And this is what he had sticker shock, $28,875. So, and then of course you have all the legalese in here that talks about it. So, he had the information. I shared it with him. He came back when via text, he's like, no, I talked to a couple of colleagues. We just think this is really too high. This is too expensive. I said, let's get on the phone. Let's talk about your exact comps in the area. So I told him when I got on the phone with him, I said, look, this is kind of my favorite part of the job, is educating my clients and really showing you in depth what this market is doing right now. And so we looked at like 5 different comps, and I'm talking like under 0.3, 0.2 miles away from his house. Some that were completely fixed up, what they went for, one that was trash like his, but even worse, that was on the market for 500, and he wants 500. And so, and again, it was way below that if he doesn't do any of this work. I'm talking like potentially even 415 to, 399 possibly. So he, when I went through that, he totally understood it, and he did not hesitate to sign this. And so anyhow, that's what that looks like and how that kind of works. And he is going to take it out of his closing proceeds. And then I wanted to share one other one, if I could find it. Uh-oh. Let's see. Zoom. Minimize my screen, sorry. And okay, here it is. Yep, nope. Oh, this maybe this is the one. Are you guys seeing this one now?
The bid, yeah.
Oh no, that's not the inspector. Here's the inspection one. Okay, so here's the inspection one. So they look a little different. As you noted on the pre-listing, it just is a bulk amount of the entire quote. Because what I understand is on the pre-listings, the seller or owner, and they agree to take it out of closing in particular, if they went and they do something or they come back and say, once they've signed it, oh, we're going to do the fence ourselves or we're going to paint this, it no longer becomes a pre-listing. And I mean, you can do that before you sign it and say you're going to take out things and he can readjust that bottom line price. But once it's signed and the work's ready to be done, you have a contract for the work that's in there. That's how I understand it. These inspection objections are a little different. When you see these, you're going to actually see each item itemized on the page of the inspection report. So this first one is window replacement. You'll see it's for $1,879, page 34. So when you're reviewing it with the client, you can go over those price points, and pending what they want to do and what they don't want to do, you can go back and say, hey, I want number 1, 3, and 4. I don't want number 2, for example, or the other items you don't want. So this again shows the 6176. I understand we won't have, because we're already getting better pricing. So this you won't see in our quotes, the 5% off, if they sign within 72 hours, because again, we're already getting lower pricing. But that's what that looks like. And then they sign it, and then they figure out the work, and many times can get it done, of course, before the closing if that's what is required. So I don't know, Ryan, if you want to talk about the rev share piece and our partner share or partnership, or if you want to take questions or just do it all at the end. So,
well, I'll talk about a couple pieces here, and then we'll kind of go from there. So, yeah, I think something to remember is, really what is the functionality of this? Where can you use it? We've described pre-listings, and I think, think about our market we're in now. One thing that the market is showing us is that if your home is not turnkey inside and out, it's probably going to sit there for a while. You should get very aggressive with pricing, being the fact that we have a lower buyer pool right now, a smaller buyer pool based on interest rates. So we've got some of those issues going on too, but it's got to be good information to give your clients, especially those clients that may not have the funds available to make some corrections. Now, part of this is, and why these guys are good, is because they, like Jeff said, they won't oversell. They're not trying to upsell. They're trying to get things done. It's got to add value. And then you're also going to be able to, as their advocate and as their fiduciary, to also say, yeah, I can see where we can get value out of this, and where we won't be able to get value out of it. So you can make really smart decisions. The things that I've used it for, both on the buyer and the seller side, how many times have you been on the listing side and you get a long inspection objection report and you want to throw money at it, your sellers want to throw money on it, but they're not sure how much, and you've just got some random number that the buyer's agent threw out there, and we don't know where they got that number for. This is a great way to quickly get quotes for some work, to get an idea whether you're in the ballpark. And again, you have to keep in mind that this doesn't mean that these guys are always going to be the least expensive or the most expensive. They're bidding it out the way they do, but at least gives you a ballpark number to kind of work with. So it helps you make more of an educated decision, or helps your clients make an educated decision when it comes to offering credits for the work done. You also have something you can send that buyer to say, hey, we've already got this bid out from a company. Feel free to use them. They're there, and then hopefully they're going to get business that way too. From the buy side, the exact same thing. If you're sending out an objection and you don't know the numbers, this is a great way to get those numbers before you send over your objection. So if you do happen to come to a point where you're going to either ask for a credit from the seller, or if that's going to become part of the negotiations as you're trying to figure out your inspection resolution, you've got numbers that you can look at. So again, you can give your clients can make a good informed decision whether that's going to be adequate enough or not. So those things I really like about it. I think you just have to remember it's again a tool that you're going to be able to utilize in a lot of different ways. Just going into a listing presentation, just walking a home with someone and saying, "Hey, I can get you quotes within a couple days." They turned my quotes around both times I've done it now. They've turned it around in less than 24 hours. And again, they say 72, but I've been pretty lucky. So I've got both of those done pretty quickly. So it did help me make those decisions. So on the other side of that is the rev share part of it. So what's nice about them and part of our partnership is, number one, we have locked in premium pricing for you guys. So those discounts are already built in. The second part of it is there's a 2.5% rev share for this. So any work they do, and I don't quote me on this. I think we're paying it out quarterly, Jeff, or was it monthly? I forget when it is, but it'll get paid out. So any work that's going to get done, it's going to get tracked in the back end.
Yep.
They're going to provide reporting for us, and then they're going to send over a check, and we're going to be able to distribute that money. So 2.5%. Again, we don't really necessarily think that shouldn't be the incentive. I mean, it can be significant. I mean, especially if you think about doing a full house remodel, you might be at $150,000 if you did a remodel. That could start to really start to add up a little bit. But I think it's just another incentive to help you think about them also. But I think the way their processes work and the work they do, I love. One thing that Jeff said that is so important to me is there's other programs out there like this, kind of. Curbio is one of them, but Curbio, I don't know how many millions of lawsuits they have going on. The problem with Curbio is the national product. They go into local markets. They hire off of Craigslist. They hire off of Angie's List or Thumbstack, and they don't really vet their people. These are their contractors. These are the same people they use on everything. So you know what kind of service you're going to get, and they believe that they have a reputation at stake too, and that's why they make sure that their people are good to go. This not just
real quick on Curbio, I've done a couple side by sides with IRGC and Curbio in the past, and Curbio was way higher, and they have other fees too. So just FYI.
They have way higher fees. They've also had a lot of issues of contractors not getting paid and walking off the job.
Yeah, time frame to complete the work, all of that. Yeah.
So, I mean, part of our vetting process is to make sure none of those things happen, and it is hyper local focused. So they work on our markets, and it's just a really good product. As far as finding it, again, we'll send out this information, but when you're in One Stop, and if you scroll down to JPAR Nation, we actually have a section here. It's called JPAR Modern RE with a bunch of links. Okay, it's got all your links for your MLSs, CTME, schedule a meeting with me, Ring Central, Dora, Showing Time, High Hello, Tongo, and then Inspection Resolution General Contractors. So you can just click on that right there. It's going to hyperlink right over it into that platform. So real easy to find in case you forget about it. It's going to be in the actual One Stop itself. Okay, now I think we can open it up to questions.
I see Crystal's newest. What if a seller isn't ready just yet? Can they pay out of pocket as well? Sure. And that'll, I don't know the percentage that he, for us, what it is, as far as what he increases it for a pay at closing, but yes, they can pay it out of their own pocket, and then they will get obviously probably something lower in the price too if they do that.
See, I think we did get a question about where they're licensed at. So typically with contractors, that they're typically going to pull most licenses in most counties. If not, they usually have other contractors that can pull permits for them if they're not licensed in those counties. But would Jeff, if you wouldn't mind getting us a list of the counties they work in, because we've got agents that are kind of spread across, obviously, the whole Front Range, to make sure that we're good. Annalise want to know how long they've been in business, how long they've been doing this.
Yeah, so CJ's been in the business 30 plus years, and I know he's had this operation or this company, which is an LLC, IRGC, and then he just added, I think this year or a year ago, the handyman arm, a DBA of United Real Estate Contractors. And I know there's a United Real Estate brokerage too. So, so that's probably just started that piece of the arm, but he's had the LLC with the pre-listings and the inspection and all that stuff, I think 7 or 8 years. I mean, I think I've talked to some of my other colleagues too, and either previous brokerages, and they're like, how come I never knew of this? Like, how come we never knew of this? And it's like, yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know what they're doing to get their word out. I mean, he's doing better, but they've been around, a long time. I know he's known in the community, but I think this particular, he's growing this business after having it probably that 7 or 8 year time frame a lot in the last couple 3 years.
For sure. All right, feel free to come off mute if you got other questions for us.
Okay, so quick question. How long does it usually take if you want him to do the work from the time of signing the contract to starting?
Yeah, so the house that I have that we're starting on, he's starting the exterior work while the owner's out of town, probably I think around the 30th, and that he said will be done before he gets back on the 5th. And then the owner needs a week. And then he said probably 2 weeks to do the interior stuff. I mean, on a full pre-listing, depending upon the size of the house, I asked the same question. Some of them are max 4 weeks, like on a pre-listing. If it's a huge house, it might take a little longer than that, but I know the inspection items, if they want them done before closing, they usually always meet that request. So those are pretty quick. So.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Can you guys see the value of this?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Again, listen, we'd love to see you guys push business their way. Ultimately, that's what they want to do is make money, and that's why they add that rev share in there. But again, I think this tool can be used whether or not it's you're getting the business done or not. So just think outside the box there a little bit and utilize them. And the more you utilize it, the more you see them produce these bids and things like that, you're going to feel more and more comfortable with it. So yeah, we're pretty excited about this. It's we'll get this sent out, get everyone some more knowledge on it. But they're real easy to work with. I mean, once you submit it, they're communicating very fast. Everything's via email. I'm sure there's someone they can talk to at any time if you have questions on it. But for sure, like Jeff said, he called them and said, hey, I got another bid that this is what they're bidding, and they can look at those apples to apples and probably make adjustments if they want the business. So
yeah, and I think he'll do that, especially for us, because of course I'm with this brokerage, but I know in the past too, like he's told me, well, no, I'm not, I don't want to get your other bid. This is what my charge is. This is my overhead. So, for him, when I went to him today, I said, hey, look, and he didn't really bat an eye. He said, give me a little bit of time and I'll look at that furnace that's in the bid you got, and I'll get back to you. And he did in about an hour. So, and he beat it by $100. So,
and that's kind of what I'm talking about. I'm not necessarily saying his time and all that he's going to charge. More like, hey, these people are saying we could get away with this system and this unit. And I see your bid this. Can we make those adjustments? I think that's really what we're talking about.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, one other quick question. Seeing that we are not allowed to receive money outside of our deals, do we need to fill in an affiliated business?
No. So first of all, you are allowed to receive money outside the deals. They just can't be associated with the deal. So we're talking about title. We're talking about lenders. Those are the things that fall under RESPA. This would be the same as getting a kickback from a moving company, which you can do all day long. Security companies, if you ADT will send you a check if you sign a system with them. Those things are above board. Okay. Now so you don't have to have an affiliated business arrangement for something like this, because number one, these guys are not necessarily governed by the Division of Real Estate, right? So it's totally different. This is considered an ancillary service outside of the actual project. So yeah, you don't have to worry about that. I mean, it's up to you whether you want to disclose that there's a little profit share to your clients. But I think the main thing is just to make sure that you're explaining, making sure that they understand that this company has been vetted through the company. They do a good job. I mean, you can try to find bad, what are they called when you get come on, help me out here. When you put in a comment about their work performed, come on, this is
bad reviews.
There you go, bad reviews. not going to find any. So they're a really good company. But yeah, it doesn't fall under the RESPA compliance as far as like if we had a relationship with title company or mortgages.
It's funny too you asked that question because I know Dennis and CJ before he was connected with Ryan. They had talked to me about my brokerage and if there was interest and how many people we had, and that was the same thing I kind of asked, and they actually had said that they did on their side, their homework because they're familiar with the RESPA, piece too and that concern. So yeah, what Ryan said I think is pretty spot on.
Does CJ have in-house like plumbers and electricians?
Yes, exactly. He does. And he has actually a what's it called? A structural engineer. Of course, there's a charge when that guy goes out, but he's got that. And the only thing that he doesn't really do, and one of them has changed. It used to be glass and windows because some homes are, as you know, really unique if it's a, historic home or whatever, and older home. And I guess he's now since got a window vendor that he does use. So that I think we can still request. And then the only other thing that I'm pretty certain that he will not do or he has anybody is like a sewer out to the line, like a complete sewer replacement.
And radon too.
I think I know he's done mold mitigation. He's radon. I have not heard anything that he won't do it. So
Okay.
Have you done a panel upgrade with him?
A what?
A panel upgrade?
I have not, but I know that he has his in-house electrical person, but I have not myself, no.
All right. Any other questions?
Can I ask a sign question that's not has to do with the inspection?
You can.
What size sign do people get? I've got away with having listings but not having a sign.
Well, first of all, shame on you. That's horrible.
Well, okay, I had a banner because it was a condo.
Uh-huh.
There was nowhere, so I had a banner that was massive. So
Oh, there you go. Okay, you were good then. You were good. I think it depends on what you look like, what you like the look of. I know that a lot of us use sign delivery or sign storage companies like S&G or R&D or S&G and RMD are a couple places that will actually build signs, store them for you, deliver. You can rent yard arms. So a lot of it depends on the size of the yard arm. Some people like them wider. Some people like them taller. I mean, it's up to you. Any input from the room?
Stick into the ground.
Well, I mean, listen, that's up to you. It's your business. I think people like the look and feel of that yard arm. They think it's a little more professional. And when you have companies where you can actually rent them from instead of purchasing them and keeping them in your house and lugging them around your car and let them handle it, it's a lot easier. So it's completely up to you. As far as the ones in the ground, I mean, it's honestly up to your taste. You don't want it too small. You want it to be seen. But do you want it more vertical or horizontal? That's completely up to you. Does anyone have any input in the room on what size signs they like? And obviously listen, you got land where you might have a big billboard type sign. There's different things you can have, but as far as just basic residential, you guys want to chime in on that?
Standard residential is 18 by 24.
18 by 20.
Is that what most of you use, 18 by 24?
That's the one that I just bought for a listing out in Grand Junction. And if I could send you a picture if you want of what it looks like. It looks great. It fits the posts well.
And then you got one of the ones that stick in the ground?
No, this is an arm. I have ones that stick in the ground, but I use those for open houses.
Okay, so you're saying it's an arm and then you put the sign on the hanging from it.
But the 18 by 24 will also fit in the I can't remember what the sign company is that we use, but it'll fit in their deal with the grommets.
Like not the plastic, like
No, I know the aluminum.
Like the black frame, that one.
I have 3 of those.
And you don't use those as for sale signs. You use them as open house.
Correct.
So I should get an arm.
No,
yeah,
you don't need
on a lease.
You don't need the arm.
So I agree with Eric. I started out having the ones that you just push in the ground when I first started, just 'cause they were cheaper, and I was like, I'll go do it. But through SNG, like you can have them make the signs, they store them at their storage unit, and they will go and put it in the ground for you with the arm, and it looks really nice, and it's like 50 or 60 bucks. And that's to take it down as well. So like as your business starts growing and you have more listings, it's really nice just to go online, you schedule it, you don't have to store the signs at your house, they go put it in the ground for you, and it looks really nice.
Randy, you know, is Axiom like competitive, or Ryan, do you know? Because they do that also.
Yeah, I don't know what their rates are. I know there's a few delivery companies out there that they don't care where you get the signs from. Even like RMD, like, hey, it's their valet service is separate from their sign service. They obviously want you to buy their signs from them, but you know, like build a sign, they're always giving us 40-50% off, like really good deals. So it just depends. You can just ask them, hey, even if I don't get a sign from you, will you store it for me? And they still want to make money on their delivery side of it. So I'm not sure what Axiom's.
Okay. Randy, can you drop that who you use for that in the chat, or?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's actually, I'll just show you guys real quick here too. Let me Google.
And if you end up doing this out in Grand Junction for any reason, any of you, I have a guy that does it for $20.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Can you make that happen in Denver Metro?
Right, exactly. Annalise, real quick, while Ryan's looking for that too. If you have questions on CTME, their help desk is phenomenal. Absolutely awesome. So don't hesitate to use that. They are very, very, very helpful in walking you through things.
I really don't like it. I like Dotloop better just because like, the interface I feel like is so there are features that I do like about Dotloop, but I think the interface really pisses me off. But I had to get it to make sure a deal went through, and I hate it.
Which is unfortunate because agents aren't supposed to require you to use their contracts program.
Well, then I found out it was an agent that's only done 3 deals this year, which is not a bad thing. But I was like, I'm pissed because I didn't look you up earlier, and I would have just said, screw it. You're using Dotloop. Like
I usually end up having to walk them through it. Like, hey, I understand this is a Dotloop. You can sign through it. If you don't want to sign through it, you want to use CTME, I attach everything as a PDF, and you can go ahead and just add it to your CTME and drop your signatures on there. So in one stop under onboarding, guys, if you ever want to go back there, number 10
60% off sale right now, which is why I was gonna do it through Build a Sign, because it's like so cheap. I think it's literally like 60 bucks.
I know like RMD, they'll hold your signs no matter who they are. And I think they just have a thing that if you are inactive, meaning you haven't moved your signs for like 12 months, I think it is, maybe less than that, then they charge like a storage fee. So they want to make sure the signs are going in and out so they're making money. But they'll store anyone's signs. I'm not sure about SNG, it might be worth getting a call. But right here, again, you have in number 10 in onboarding, there's a couple of links for a couple of different valets and that you can check out.
Okay.
I love having someone else store our signs and deliver them and pick them up. Because I tell you what, for those of you keeping it home, they're going to end up getting trashed. Your signs stay pretty mint, and you don't have to deal with it. I mean, it's probably the best 50-60 bucks I spend per listing, just on the ease of not having to drive out there, put it in, planting them in the middle of winter when the ground's hard, things like that. They can
is also true.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that. I just thought I was gonna make my boyfriend dig a hole and he could do it. That's what.
You don't even need a hole. It's got a stake that goes in the ground.
Well, even better, easier for him to do.
What if it's like on the other side of town, or you're like in heels trying to push that thing in the ground? Like,
oh yeah,
not worth it.
A big strong man to do it.
There you go. Well, awesome. Anyone else have any on topic or off topic subjects they'd like to talk about while you're on? Good either way. Everyone's good.
Just want to say though too, so the IRGC stuff is active and ready now. So that portal is up there, and I'm going to send you do you need the presentation or? that I
Yeah, send it to me and I'll attach it when I send it out.
Okay, cool.
They're gonna be able to see it, but just so
Cool.
people can look at it.
I genuinely think that I would like. I wish I had this about a week ago. Like, I wish I know it was there, but like I wish I like, you know.
You'll have more.
Oh no, I will.
Stepbrothers, even better, you have it now.
Yeah,
There you
no, I'll use it before the end of the year. Don't worry.
Thank you all so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Hey, real quick, everyone, just a quick reminder. For those of you who signed up for the commission update course, it is full, so make sure if you're not going to come, take your name off the list. We are going to have other ones after that, so I just wanted to get that first one for all the people who want to attend live done, but we are going to do probably an online one and another live version within January and February too. We are going to start doing a lot of training on a lot of our tech, just individual training. So Live Easy is live now. If everyone hasn't logged into Live Easy, please do. It's a really cool program. We're going to start doing training on that. Also a way to monetize your relationships, kind of like the IRGC, where they're going to have profit sharing. You're going to be able to get your preferred vendors in this forward facing for your clients. We're going to go through that. And then we're couple other updates. We are going to be updating the look and feel of our website. So we're working on that right now. So it won't look like every other KV Core website out there, which will trickle down to all of our agents. So you're going to have a new, really cool looking website. We're hoping to launch that by no later than January 1. And then the last thing is we're hoping to have our Nova app up and running by January 2, which will eventually replace One Stop. So, and it's got a lot of cool stuff on there, and it's a very, very user friendly. One Stop was great, but it's become a little antiquated and a little hard to find things in. So we're fine tuning that. So we got a lot of cool stuff coming down the pipe here. So please be sure to read our emails when we send them out. And if you have any questions or you want to talk about any of this stuff or see it live, just let me know. So Jeff, again, thank you very much for the introduction to this wonderful company, and thanks for the presentation today. Thank you all for joining us. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Jeff or myself. Thanks again for coming.
Yep, I'm definitely here for a resource.
Thanks,
You guys
Jeff.
need it. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Cheers, mate.